people to cycle together.
Right. Ayman, back to what you were talking about, the several trips and challenges you had during the past years. Would you tell us what were the main pleasures and difficulties during those initiatives?
There's a lot of pleasures in the trips that we used to run, because as I just told you that you know your friends while you're traveling with them, and this is a good time to meet the new friends within a tough challenge like that. And in a tough challenge like that, you can see all the guys in different aspects and in different situations. Then you can know them very well, which is really making a very good relationship between the guys and each other. And at the same time, you know, when you travel and by bike, it's a very lovely speed, because when you travel by car, you do not use to watch the tiny details on the road while you're going. While when you travel, when you walk as well, you will not be able to cover a long distance, so you can see a lot of people. But when you go by bike, you're having a very good speed that you can watch the tiny details. You can start with the guys, you can meet the people on the road, you can know the cities, you can know the habits of the people right there, and at the same time you can cover big distance, because we used to cover and the trips around from 500 to 1,000 kilometers per trip, which would be done from 5 to 8 days. So the guys are getting to know good stuff. It's a very challenging sport, and at the same time, this is a touristic trip by the end of the day.
Right, Mu'taz, you were just talking about a challenge to Hurghada. Yeah. How was it in such an amazing place in Egypt?
It was great. So firstly, people were having a great challenge to cycle from Cairo to Sahel Hashish, and also we had many good stops. So we went to Sokhna, and we went to Ras Gharib, we went to Gona, we went to Hurghada, and then to Sahel Hashish. So it was great sightseeing, great weather, great sea, beach, and so on.
How can we deploy such amazing places in Egypt like Hurghada, Sharm el-Sheikh? We have beautiful scenery around. How can we deploy such an amazing places in such initiatives, biking initiatives?
Actually, by creating some activities like the GBI. So when we did this activity, we had some of our friends in Germany who planned to come with us, and actually they were very optimistic about the place, very optimistic about cycling here in Egypt, especially in Luxor, Aswan, in Hurghada, in Sharm el-Sheikh, and so on. So we can position all these touristic places as a good sightseeing, as a good roads to cycle in, and the good weather we have, the sea we have, and so on.
So it's an amazing source of attracting tourists, I think,
yeah,
right?
Sure.
It's
yes.
very good for attracting tourists.
Yes.
Right. How would anyone join GBI, and are there any special prerequisites, physical prerequisites that an applicant should possess? Actually,
anyone can join the GBI. Just fill an application form and tell us that he wants to join the GBI, and then we start the preparation with him. So we give them, for example, firstly we give them induction program about the GBI in Egypt and GBI in Europe, and then we start to customize the training plan for everyone in order to have the appropriate training in order to be ready for cycling for 100 kilometers and so on. So anyone
can... Does it need any special physical prerequisites? I mean, the applicant should possess some strong, muscles and be athletic, and by nature be athletic, and
okay.
I mean...
Yeah, we will build this on him, so on him, on her, or actually we accept everybody. Anyone can join.
You don't have an age limit?
Age limit, I think we are starting from 16, can join us, but in later phases we will start with kids. So we will start after 7 years. Anyone can join us.
Mm-hmm. How did your initiative find support from officials here in Egypt?
Yeah, I believe that we are having a good support from the officials in Egypt, because we used to have the trips outside Egypt, and we started, especially in 2011 after the revolution, we used to have a campaign called Visit Egypt and Europe, which really attracted some guys to start visiting Egypt after the decrease of the number of touristics that we have seen after the revolution. Mm-hmm. So the Egyptian Tourism Authority started to support us once we started this campaign, and they have been supporting us over the past 2 years. In fact, they worked with us on Hurghada trip, and they managed to give us the needed approvals from the ministries that we are facing on the roads. They gave us a very good support from Ministry of Interiors. The policemen were really supporting in a very good way on the road. They started with us from the second day till the end of the day, till the fourth day, and they were running with 4 cars around us, securing the locations that we are sleeping in. They were very dedicated and very supportive for us. So right now, yes, we are having a good support from the governmental sector, as well as a very good support from the private sector as well.
From the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Sports, for example. And
yeah, the Ministry of Tourism is supporting all the way, and as well as the president of the Egyptian Cycling Federation as well. Mm-hmm. And as Josie told you, from the private sector, which is starting to notice that cycling is an important aspect in Egypt, and a lot of companies are supporting the initiative right now on several levels, on the tools that we have right now, as well as supporting the employees which are using bicycles in their companies by availing facilities and stuff like that for them.
In some countries, like for example in Amsterdam, they're using bicycles as a means of transportation. Yes. How can this be applied in a crowded city like Cairo, for example? Can this be applied here?
Yes, it could be applied here. We just need to plan for it. So we cannot do this suddenly on all Cairo's roads. But for example, we can start with Maadi, we can start with Sheikh Zayed, 6 October or so on. So we start by planning for cycling lanes, and then we start to communicate to all people around that there are some cyclists will use this lane, and to put some traffic signs and so on, and teach people how to deal with these traffic signs and so on.
Mm-hmm. In Amsterdam, they put parking lanes everywhere for bicycles.
Yes.
So you think this can be applied here in Cairo, for example?
It's already applied in Port Said. If you go Port Said, you will find a lot of bikes there. So I used to go Port Said a lot, and I used to see that many people are cycling to their work, and you can see many cycling tracks, many cycling racks to park your bike there. So I think it's already applied in Port Said, so why not it could be applied all over Egypt.
Port Said is relatively a quiet city. What if we want to apply this in Cairo?
Okay, so we saw this in Düsseldorf. It's very crowded. We saw this in London. We saw this in Amsterdam and so on. So it's already applied. So in Cairo here, we need to have cycling lanes. We need to communicate with people that to accept cyclists in the road, and we need to teach people about the traffic and the cycling rules and the health and safety for everyone and so on.
How is cycling facilitated in Europe?
Okay, it's it's improved a lot in Europe, and year over year I can see a lot of changes. So you have their cycling lanes, you have GPS tracks for cycling, you have cycling racks, you have cycling parkings, you have cycling shops everywhere, cycling tools, all the gears you need for cycling, it's already there in Europe. And what's amazing there is that all European countries already connected by cycling roads. So you can travel from any point to another point using cycling.
Right. What about China? I know that China has used also cycling as a means of transportation to overcome the traffic and the overpopulation. Which is our problem here in Egypt.
Yes, and I believe China would be a good example for having bicycles as well in Cairo. Yes, Cairo is crowded. It's not easy to cycle in Cairo, as it's not easy to cycle in China as well. But the point that Cairo needs that, because this would be the main solve for the problem that we are facing every day of having no place to park our cars. The roads are crowded. It's always jammed. It's always polluted because of the huge amount of cars that we are facing every day in the streets. Then, as the same as China did, they moved into bicycles, and they found that this is solving a lot of problems. The guys are going to their work faster than they're going by cars. There is no places to park the cars, but it's easily you can find a place to park your bike. And at the same time, you're doing sport, and at the same time, it's a lovely workout in the morning before you go to work. The good thing that we used to cycle in Cairo and in Giza and on other roads, and we found that we go to work faster than we go by cars. So we do it right now. And it's not about the distance. The distances in Cairo is small by bike, but it's long by cars.
Right, Mu'taz Bahieddin and Ayman Sayed from GBI, thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, our dear viewers, with this we wrap up this edition of Today's Youth. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International.